Morning, a very good morning. Welcome to the Punters Lounge Live, brought to you with the help of Valachi Downs as we build into a big Saturday of racing around New Zealand with 3 thoroughbred venues from south to north. We've got Ascot Park in Invercargill, we've got Awapuni in Palmerston North, and Te Rapa out of Hamilton. The feature meeting out of Hamilton today with the Sky City Hamilton Waikato Cup, as well as the Kalazuzu, the Group 2 mile for the mares. Okay, just before we set you up with the weather and track for those venues, let's take you to Petone now, where Stephen Hunt is, and he's been monitoring all the money moves over the past, well, since the market's open from Wednesday. Morning, Stephen. What have you seen?
Morning, Jason. Yeah, busy day. 26 races domestically here with the 3 meetings from bottom to top up and down the country. Look, kicking off at Waikato, the premier meeting today, the Waikato Cup Igrain, who was so impressive winning the Counties Cup a few weeks back, Jason, has been the best backed on their 9-race program. We put up a $2.20 during the week. We've just accepted a $15,000 bet at the $2.20 line. She is now a $2.10 favourite to take out the feature at Te Rapa later on this afternoon. In the Central Districts, Awapuni Race 3, the Open 1200 Gift of Power, is coming for a lot of action this morning. Opened $1.90 on Thursday. She's now $1.75 and looks to be the best back runner up and down the card at Awapuni. And the lack of money around Rock and Affair is quite notable in that particular race. But we'll touch on more depth, in particular race 3 at Awapuni later on. And Ascot Park, the maiden over the 1400 metres, race 3, Perfecto's been very well supported in early trading. Opened at $7, now trading that second line of betting at $4.60, Jason.
Stephen, just before we let you go, has there been any runner that you've been surprised to see the volume of money, or a runner that you've been surprised to not see any money for across those 3 meetings?
The interesting one's probably Magnum. We know he does have a very good first up record, but if money talks on a horse that's first up and a lot of people just not sure where he is preparation wise, he's been the good go in early betting and a real money line in terms of where he sits in his preparation being first up. A $5.50 opening line during the week. He's now been backed into $5 Magnum, the former Hong Kong galloper. So that's quite a notable shortener there on a particular runner in one of the features at Te Rapa.
Great stuff. Stephen Hunt there, and we'll be checking in with Stephen throughout the previews of the 3 meetings. Of course, weather and track conditions all important, with the rain particularly in the north. In the south, though, at Ascot Park and Invercargill, at the moment it's a little bit cloudy. The track is a good 3 and the running rail in the true position. You're betting on the meeting code of 7. All 3 tracks around New Zealand set up for Christmas at the races should be super atmospheres around the venues, and we'll be capturing some of that on trackside. Of course, there's nothing like being at the races. So I'm not sure if there are many tickets available in some of the hospitality areas across those 3 venues, but there should be general admission anyway. At Te Rapa, there have been showers the last 24 hours. At the moment, it's fine. Now, the TAB website says there was 10 mils of irrigation. That's not right. That hasn't been updated from yesterday. 11 mils of rain has fallen. The track hasn't been irrigated overnight. There's 11 mils of natural rain overnight there at Te Rapa. You're betting on the meeting code of 2, and the track sits in the mid-level dead range at the moment. Hopefully there won't be too much rain throughout the program, even though the Met Service suggested there could be some showers. There was a lot of sun this morning, so get down there to the Central Hamilton venue. It's going to be a super day of racing. At Awapuni, meeting 4 in Palmerston North, the track is a dead 5. I think there was only a mil of rain overnight. Perfect. The running rail is out 5 metres, and again there'll be plenty of festivities there at Palmerston North, and the feature is the eulogy. We've got a couple of guests on the program from New Zealand and also 2 from Australia. Andrew Forsman with Murray Baker has a huge hand to play at Te Rapa and also Awapuni, and Andrew kindly joins us on the line right now. Good morning, Andrew. Looking forward to the day ahead?
Yeah, really looking forward to it. The weather's fine here at this stage, so hopefully it holds.
Speaking about a race where you're 3-handed as a stable, and that's the Kalazuzu last year, you mopped it all up with the trifecta. On paper, it looks as though you could go close to doing so again. Let's talk about each of those individual runners and start with Love Affair. How does she present for this afternoon?
Yeah, she's in really good order. We've been really happy with her all preparation. It's just, I guess, the key with her is finding suitable races or races where there's genuine tempo in, and she just hasn't had that Even last start at Ellerslie, it was a muddling run race, and she was out of her comfort zone, but still got the job done. And probably a step up here again today, back to sort of weight for age. She was well off at set weights and penalties last time, and look, she should be able to settle closely enough. Hopefully, she's sort of one out, one back, and can get it should be close enough to use that turn of foot.
The track currently a dead 5. Is that as sort of rain affected as she's going to want it?
Sorry, what was that?
The track's a dead 5 at the moment. Is that about as rain affected as Love Affair is going to want it?
Oh, look, it's just the give out of it's perfect. She wouldn't want it really firm. But yeah, she does need good footing to show that good turn of foot that she's got, I suppose.
Lizzie Lamore, the winner of this race, in fact, has won on this program the last 2 years, the Waikato Cup and also the Kalai Zuzu. How does she present following her very good run last start?
Yeah, she's in really good order. She's worked up well. Obviously, the slower the track, the better for her. So the rain we had last night will help her a bit. It could firm up throughout the day. But yeah, any rain would certainly assist her, and she's going to be a great chance, I think.
She settled back at Ellerslie. Where do you expect her to settle today? There doesn't look to be an abundance of speed on paper. Does it depend on how she breaks, or will there be a little bit of aggression, do you think, asked of her to find a spot early?
I think she can be used a bit at the mile, or the shorter trips. She can certainly race handy to the pace. When she gets to 2,000, we're mindful that if she is ridden aggressively, she can just overdo it a bit. If they go sort of muddling tempo over 2,000 metres, it can trip her up if she's ridden aggressively early, which is what, obviously we had to ride her cold from a niggly barrier draw at Ellerslie last time, and that's what cost her, but at least she hit the line well. She can sort of turn it up if she's ridden, too hard too early. But I think at the mile where they'll run an even tempo, I think she could be in the first 2 or 3 and it wouldn't worry her.
Yeah, sectionally she was outstanding at Ellerslie, the last 600 and 800 metres there, and we know her quality being a Group 1 winner. Nicoletta has been very consistent throughout this campaign. One would suggest maybe it was the track conditions at Pukekohe that maybe was undoing. Andrew, what was your view?
Yeah, it definitely was, which surprised us. She has obviously performed on rain-affected going before, and we thought she would handle the track at Pukekohe, but look, the feedback was that, Matt was happy with her coming to the turn and said as soon as she let her head go, her wheels just started spinning in it, and she really couldn't quicken at all. She stuck to her guns and hit the line well enough, but yeah, we were expecting a lot better that day, and I think the key was to her poor performance was the track conditions.
She's back up to 1,600 metres, a distance that she placed over at Tauranga when second to Ocean Emperor. She's a $6.50, I guess, third favourite, with joint favourites being Lizzie Lamore and Love Affair. Do you get the sense that the early framing of this market is how you see their chances?
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to think so. I like the fact that they've come up the first 3 favourites in the race. It means they're a strong chance. So hopefully the bookies have got it right and at least one of them can get the job done.
Not easy, I suppose, Andrew, when you've got these runners. But as track conditions sit at the moment, dead 6, given the draws, is there any leaning towards any runner in particular out of the 3?
Probably not. I mean, if anything, Nicoletta's probably a touch over the odds. She might be the one that people have just dropped off a touch, and if she gets it soft enough in front and can sort of roll along at a steady tempo. I think, beaten by Ocean Emperor a couple of starts back at Tauranga, she went too slowly in front. If she's rated a bit better and can roll along at a steady enough tempo, she might be the one that just catches them off guard. But no, they're all good chances, and they're all going to get their chance from good barrier draws. That's the key.
Also good to know they'll be presented in good order, as is the case with Baker Forsman runners. Race number 7, the Sky City Hamilton Waikato Cup. This is the market for it. $2.10 I grain. We've heard the big bet on her, 15,000 with Stephen Hunt not so long ago. Mongolian Marshall, though, the horse that we're interested in. How did you assess that Pukekohe run, the step up to the 2,100 metres, and how he hit the line in the conditions, Andrew?
I think he was a run short. It was pretty plain to see. He knocked up about 100 out. Igraine looked rock hard fit before the race. She's obviously had races over ground. He was stepping up from a mile. So for his first run over a middle distance on what was quite a testing track, while we were disappointed he didn't win, obviously, I think we can take a lot of positives out of the run. I think the big query, which will be answered today, is he a real stayer, or is he best kept a bit fresh and back to a mile? That'll be what we need to figure out. And so with that, he'll probably just have to be taken on trust a bit today.
He's drawn handy. Is there a chance that he could settle in front of Igraine, given that she's drawn wide? What are you sort of wary of, given that draw? Obviously, settling's quite key for him, isn't it?
Yeah, he's certainly runs his best races when he's ridden cold and just saved for one run. He's got an explosive turn of foot, so that'll be the key. From the good barrier draw, I think naturally over the 2400 he'll settle thereabouts, you'd think, in the first 5 or 6, hopefully, and do no work and just relax and hopefully, he just gets his chance. And if they just go steady enough, he can present with that good turn of foot like we know he's got, and, he's going to give himself every chance anyway.
How about Maygrove in the same race? All good with Maygrove in his training on the track?
Yeah, he's really well. I thought his run in the Counties Cup was very game, under the weight, off a tough trip. He kept boxing on, and he's one of those horses that always puts his hand up when no one expects him to, so certainly wouldn't count him out today.
So you've got plenty of runners in the trucks to Te Rapa today. Here's a list of some of them. In the first race, you've got Franklin Bijou Lass in race 2. Camino Ricoso is second up. You've got Beaujeu and Marcelina in race number 5. And we've spoken about your runners in races 6 and 7. And in race 9, you've got Hinchin Power, who's come up 6.25. Out of those runners that we haven't sort of discussed, it would be the one that you'd want to be leading us into.
It's a tricky one. I like Hinchin Power a lot. I think he's a horse with a fair bit of ability, just still on the way up, but it's a very competitive race today for him, and hard to go from maiden company into that sort of a race, but I think he'll run well. I do like Marcelina. I think each way, look for her to bounce back from a good draw. Hopefully she can just be ridden a little bit more positively, take a more forward position in running, and look, she's working well. She looks outstanding at the moment. We were very disappointed at Ellerslie, but I think it was a bit of a forgive run, and if she can put her hand up today, I think she's going to be a good chance.
Smaller team at Awapuni, race number 7 is the Lawnmaster Eulogy Stakes at Group 3 level, and a very promising filly you present here, Queen of Diamonds. I say promising because look at Te Rapa. She broke maidens in visually stunning style. How did you see that success?
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, perhaps she was flattered a little bit. There'd been a bit of rain the last couple of races leading into her race, and she got that good run up the inside, covered no extra ground, and sprinted away and did it quite easily. I think the second horse won impressively yesterday, but clearly blew the start and looped the field. So look, and the rest, there probably wasn't a lot in behind. So I don't know what sort of a form reference it is coming into racing against some of the better fillies that have measured up in better company than she has. So I guess that's the big query. But we've always thought that she's going to end up quite a good filly. So hopefully, today is the start of that.
She's got an unbelievable pedigree, probably one of the best bred horses racing anywhere in Australasia, being by Savabeel out of Danehill mare Love Diamonds, and it must have given you a good boost to see Yamuna do what it did yesterday at Tauranga. So all going well. I suppose this is the next step for her, isn't it, Queen of Diamonds, and the real line that you'll get on her. Is it fair to say that ground is what you are thinking out of today, potentially?
She's not, she's certainly not dour by any stretch. She has got a good turn of foot, which she showed at Te Rapa last time. So, look, I think a mile to 2,000 at this stage of her career is ideal. Whether she gets to 2,400 of an Oaks in the autumn, well, that's, that'll be played out over time. But she's certainly, on pipe and the way she sort of has run her races out to this point, the 1550 today looks spot on for her at this stage anyway.
Okay, that's good to know. Now, speaking of horses that are stepping up in ground, Hini Rangi in the previous race number 6 there at Awapuni, will take that step up to 2,000 metres. Is that a trip that you've always had in the back of your mind, particularly how she's been racing over a mile the last few starts?
Yeah, it has, really. We've just been waiting for the opportunity to give her a run over a middle distance. She's been, disappointing at times. I think just a victim of the way some races have been run. She's a big horse and she likes to be rolling along and doing her own thing. She just got left flat-footed a little bit last start and then came again late when she looked like she was beaten. So I think all clear indications that 2,000 metres is suitable for her now. So she gets her chance and hopefully she can run the trip out, because if she can sort of run that distance, it opens up a lot more options for her.
It certainly does. She's a horse that just keeps going to the line. So on to the eye at least, and sectionally she looks like she should relish the 2,000 metres. Doesn't end for you the weekend, that is. Obviously a team in at Ellerslie as well. Speaking about the Selva, you've got a few runners in that. Is Cutter Deal probably the best chance out of Thomas Aquinas and Bobby D for you?
Yeah, he would have to be on form, you would say. I thought it was an impressive win last start. I thought he was just a good each-way chance without getting too carried away against those older horses is never easy, and I thought he was quite impressive in how he did it. So, looking forward to seeing what he can do over the 2100 against his own age group, obviously.
It was an exciting time with the view to derbies, both here in New Zealand and Australia. Andrew Forsman, very much thank you for your time this morning and giving it up for us on the Punters Lounge Live.
No worries. Cheers, Jess.
Andrew Forsman there, and great to get that information. We've got more to come. Corey Campbell, leading apprentice in New Zealand, joins us on the line to talk through some of his better rides at Ascot Park and Invercargill. Don't go far.
I was made for this. I show the world I'm stronger. Prove it to 'em I'm a fighter. I can't help but win. We're gonna push it harder. Gonna climb up higher. It's like I just can't miss. I was made for this. I show the world I'm stronger. Prove it to 'em I'm a fighter. I can't help.
Corey Campbell's had a super start to season 2018-2019. He's the leading apprentice in New Zealand.
Stop looking since the day you came around.
Perceptive's a danger to the two, being tamed. She rocks Lord Simpler. Now's got to hold off the challenge of Perceptive. Lord Simpler in front. Perceptive coming fast now. Got it. Perceptive 5 for the Andertons. Corey Campbell, good young kid this, bred to be a pretty good jockey too, and under the tutelage of the Andertons, he'll make the grade too, and a good ride, good patient ride here on Perceptive.
Tell you what, it might be his first winning ride, but he's judged this like a veteran. He really judged it to absolute perfection on Perceptive.
He's 17 years old, Corey Campbell, very much a talent out of the South Island, and looking forward to seeing how his career develops. Unfortunately, the wonders of modern technology means that there are still black spots and cell phone black spots around New Zealand, and it appears as though Corey might be going through one of those right now. We had him on the line, but just got zipped off. So we'll go to Stephen Hunt, who is in Petone. Stephen, we've just spoken with Andrew Forsman. In the last 10 or so minutes, has there been much action on their runners?
As always, plenty of action on their particular runners. Jace, probably most notable, Queen of Diamonds in the Eulogy, who opened $3.40 in that second line of betting, is now top line equal with Secret Allure at $2.80, and that includes a $10,000 bet, Jason, at a $3 price, which we accepted around about 1 hour ago. But look, the action doesn't stop there on their particular runners. Hirarangi in the Open Stayers race has been well supported. If I can give you a slight lead, maybe Lizzie Lamore and the Kauai Zuzu just in front of Love Affair, and like you mentioned, Nicoletta Not Friendless at $6.50, and Mongolian Marshall, the best backed out of the two in the Waikato Cup, the other runner being Maygrove, obviously at top weight. So, yeah, always money for their horses, and in particular, Marcelina is not friendless either, since his comments well supported at $11 quote.
Good stuff. Thanks, Stephen. We've got Corey Campbell on the line now. Corey, thanks for joining us on the Punters Lounge Live. Let's talk about your season so far. How happy are you with how it's been developing, being the leading apprentice to date and also sitting 11th on the overall premiership?
It's been an unbelievable start to the season, really. Been very lucky with some of the horses I've got on.
Being a young 17-year-old and in the game of racing, do you have any particular goals that you want to achieve in this season?
I'd like to be leading apprentice in the country this season is my main goal.
And so far, obviously, that's working out for you. Given the opportunities in the South Island, does that mean that you might have to sort of travel regularly to places like Riccarton, and we might even see you in the north if the opportunity arises?
Yeah, I'd really like to, come up north and ride if the opportunity came up and just travel as much as I can and try and get on some really nice horses.
Speaking of getting on nice horses, Brian and Shane Anderton have provided you with some top quality mounts and obviously have a lot of faith in you. Also, Claire Anderton has put you on an exciting filly in the Precious One. She lines up in race number 5. You must be looking forward to being legged aboard her.
Yes, really looking forward to getting on her. Her run, at Cup Week was really good and massive drop back in grade here. She should be very prominent today.
Given you're based in Wingatui, have you seen much of her in the mornings?
Yeah, a little bit of her, She looked like she worked well the other morning.
We're just watching her at Riccarton Park over the 1,400 metres, just running second to Kiwi Idol. What are the keys to her, do you think, today for you to get the best out of her? She's stepping up to 1,600 metres. What will you be thinking of when you get legged aboard and the tactics for the race?
Probably, I hope there's a bit of speed on it and we can just slot it and get a bit of cover somewhere and come with one run over the top of them at the end.
Do you have a bit of confidence that she's going to be able to do the job for you?
Yes, I think she should see the trip out strong today and it should be very hard to beat.
You're on an 8-year-old gallant boy. You've got a good association with this Brian and Shane Anderton runner. Must be looking forward to riding him again.
Yes, it's a bit of a shame about his wide draw, but hopefully he's, good enough to overcome it.
Where do you want to see him positioned up, given that draw, Corey?
I think we're probably going to try him a bit more positive today and, try sit second or third on him, and hopefully he doesn't have to make up all that ground at the end. He should be hard to beat.
How genuine is he to ride?
He always goes out there and tries 110% every time he goes out.
Yeah, that must give you a lot of confidence. You ride in race 7, Tommy Tucker. Now, he is fresh up. What are you and the stable expecting from Tommy Tucker today?
We're just hoping he hits the line really strongly, and, today's more of a just getting some miles under his belt before he's got bigger goals at the end of the season, but hopefully he's hitting the line strong.
Yeah, I suppose that's the key for him. Sort of how close to full fitness is he, given that he is fresh up? He must be a little way away.
He's probably take a couple runs this time. He's just that bit older. It's taken a bit more to get the weight off him, but his work the other morning was quite good, so he should be hitting the line well.
You picked up a win on riding high last time in rating 65, penalised for that, but still stays in the grade, and he's your mount in the 9th on the program. He didn't show much early speed. Is that just him? You'll let him relax and sort of settle where he's handy before looking to make your run?
Yeah, that's just him. He likes to just lob along at the back and do his own thing and then start getting serious about the 600, but it might be a bit harder to do that from the inside door today, but we'll just see how he jumps.
It's quite different track conditions that present today. When he won at Ascot Park over the shorter trip, it was rain affected. Will he cope okay with the better track, do you think?
Yeah, he should cope fine with it. He won at Ashburton on a dead fourth, so it shouldn't worry him too much today.
Very busy today, Corey, which is obviously a sign that there are a lot of people putting their faith in you, which is a positive. You've got the 7 rides. We've listed them on screen. Tickets on her in the first race is $3.80. The Precious One in race 5, or rather tickets on her in race 2 is $3.80. The Precious One in race 5, $1.70. Gallant Boy is well supported. Out of those runners, you've got Trudeau, Festival Pauper and Riding High. Who would be the best of them?
The Precious One would probably be the best out of them.
Outside of her, what are you thinking about a horse like Trudeau in the 4th?
He had very good form up north, and he won a really good race first up at Riccarton, and stepping up in ground today is always going to be a plus for him. And he's drawn to get a nice run in behind them, so hopefully he can be finishing over the top of them.
Really appreciate your time this morning, Corey, and giving your thoughts. Obviously, the market says the Precious One is your best ride, and you've confirmed that as well. Safe riding today and successful riding for you, and hopefully many more winners, and we can also see you travel around New Zealand applying your skills.
Thank you very much.
Corey Campbell there, apprentice jockey and the leading apprentice rider in New Zealand, is the favourite for the Jockey Challenge there at Ascot Park, ahead of Jacob Lowry, no doubt good friends with Corey, both based in Wingatui. So that's a look at a couple of key players across two of our venues. We'll nip across the Tasman to talk with Brent Zarafa after this. There's racing at Flemington on Te Abbey Trackside 1.
You're gonna find out you can't hold me down. You see, I'm the king, 'cause I got that crown.
9 races out of Flemington in Victoria today. The first to go 5 to 3 New Zealand time. From racing.com, form analyst, journalist and Longines HKIR award winner is Brent Zarafa. He joins us kindly on the line. What's the weather like there, Brent, for the race day ahead of us?
Well, you can call me the weatherman as well if you want. Good morning, Jason. Good morning, everyone. But at this stage, thankfully the rain has stopped. It still looks a little bit grey at this point, but we did receive significant rain on Friday and also on Thursday. So some parts of Melbourne were even flooded. There was flash flooding around. But we're in the soft 5 range at this point. But I would expect that the track could even play a little bit worse, because speaking with track manager Liam O'Keefe during the week, we haven't raced at Flemington since Cup Week. And as is the case post-carnival every year, the track staff do a renovation of the surface. So the grass won't be as mature as it probably would be heading into the carnival. So I'm expecting it could break up a touch, and maybe getting away from the inside might be the play. That's just my personal thought. But speaking with Liam, he was just of the opinion that the track won't dry out at the same rate as it did on Melbourne Cup Day, where it was sort of heavy and got back to soft. He's saying the moisture will retain in the surface due to that renovation. So just might be worth keeping that in mind when you're having a bet this afternoon.
Yeah, no, that is good information, particularly for those that are considering backing runners strongly from inside draws. That might not be the place to be. It's certainly seen a Porsche underwater somewhere around Melbourne, with a driver trying to get back into it on social media. So there clearly has been a lot of rain in your neck of the woods. Let's start with race number 5. What can you tell us about one of the better chances in this race?
Well, I was pretty keen here on Chamois Road, and for those who may have bet early, there's going to be some deductions, because we've had 2 key scratchings from this race. One of those came out early on Thursday, which is Gulwa, who was the early favourite. And then this morning we've lost King's Command, which at that point in time, both of those horses were at the head of the market. And I thought Chamois Road represented good value when they were both in the race. And now the fact that they've both come out, you can still sort of get around the $4.50, maybe even $5 range. I think that's not a bad bet, because Chamois Road is a very, very consistent horse. He's one that can put itself up on speed, has drawn out a little bit wide, doesn't mind the sting out of the track, and it's coming from the Festival Stakes in Sydney, and I thought that its run was fantastic, finishing in 3rd behind My Nordic Hero. My Nordic Hero is going around as one of the key chances in Sydney this afternoon in the Villiers Stakes, and the claim for Talia Hope looks very well utilised here by Patrick Payne, and I think can go forward, put itself near the lead, and be very, very hard to run down. And I think you're going to get a very good sight for your money this afternoon. Like I thought Murray, one of the other chances in Auckland in the race, that they're going okay. But I think the recent form of Chamois Road certainly is stronger, and I like the fact that it can tactically go forward and put itself in the race.
Also has a very good record on slow and heavy tracks, having won 3 of 9 and 1 of 3 on those track conditions. To race number 6, Brent, and what did you like here?
Well, there's a horse in this that is progressing quite nicely through the grades by the name of Declares War. And its win last time out at Moonee Valley was in lower grade than what it faces here this afternoon at Flemington, but you don't often see horses be able to manage to get out of a position that it was in and still get the job done. Had a lot of work to do inside the final 100 metres and did it quite comfortably as it got towards the winning post. So has now put together 2 victories in situations where it was, in the last 200 metres of the race, the strongest horse in the field. And I think getting out in trip, getting to the bigger track at Flemington and taking on, it's going from sort of 3-year-old restricted company now into open benchmark 70, taking on some older horses. And look, the horses in the race that it's facing, they've been around the mark. They've basically found their positions, whereas this horse looks as though it has the potential to sort of progress through the grades and getting maybe into open company as a 3-year-old and maybe into some stakes races. So I thought it's going to be pretty well supported. Mark Zara, one of the leading jockeys in Melbourne, gets back in the saddle this afternoon after a little short break post-carnival, and this looked to be one of his key chances this afternoon, declares war.
Great stuff. Those bits there of Brent Zarafa, Chamois Road and also Declares War, races 5 and 6, and those odds available, tab.co.nz. Merry Christmas to you, Brent, and if I don't catch you before then, have a great 2019 as well.
All the best, mate. Thanks very much, and hopefully back a few winners today.
100%. Brent Zarafa there, racing.com, form analyst, joining us this morning on the Punters Lounge Live. We are going to Randwick next up, and Group 2 Villiers Stakes is the feature. Brad Gray is our correspondent, giving you all the weather and track conditions there. It's also rain affected that track there at Randwick, so it's come up in the slow range, and we've got a 9-race program with the feature, the Villiers, set to jump at 7 o'clock New Zealand time. So Brad Gray kindly joins us to talk about some of those feature races and some of the best bets. Brad, good morning. The Villiers, what did you like there?
Yeah, good morning, Jason. It's an interesting race, the Villiers, this year, as it always is. It's those second kind of tier horses, and as we know, this is a race that carries Doncaster exemption, so a few of these trying to get in via the back door. The one that's been really well backed is Skyboy. He's a horse we've seen plenty of this preparation. He's deep into a campaign. He's won 4 on the trot. I guess the query with him is coming back to the mile of a couple of 2,000-metre runs. This has always been in the plan. But that was a pretty hard run, 1,800 metres last start. So whether he's fresh enough to tackle 1,600 metres over Randwick, I guess we'll see. The wet track probably does help him somewhat to that extent. The horse that I'm keen on, though, is Doubt Defying, the 9. Now, he's a Queenslander. He's been all over the place recently, so this preparation he kicked off at Randwick over 1,400 metres and was a really strong winner. Importantly, that was on a heavy track, and as we know, Randwick is a particularly deep kind of heavy track, so he handled that no dramas. We're a soft 7 at the moment at Randwick, but there is a little bit of rain forecast for later, so we might get a little bit worse. Then went down to Melbourne, he won the Sale Cup, and then ran admirably in the Group 1 McKinnon. So coming back off that, it's Group 1 form. He's going to be hard to beat here. He maps to get the right kind of run from 3. I imagine Fabrizio rolls along out in front and he'll just tag that speed. So each way odds about Doubt Defying is the way that I'll be playing the race.
Seems to come in reasonably well at 55.5. Michael Walker, the retained rider these days for Aquis Farm, retains the ride, having won it a couple of starts ago. Vision that we saw there was with Tim Clark in the saddle. How about... oh, there we go. We've got $3 for Skyboy, $9.50 for Sambro, and Doubt Defying there at $8. Having a look at race number 6 here, Brad, and the horse that's been a massive money maker, Cradle Mountain. Can this horse continue and make it 7 from 10?
Yeah, you'd like to think so, wouldn't you? Claire Cunningham's got a very smart sprinter on her hands. You spoke about money. This bloke didn't cost very much, $4,000. So you'd love to be able to fork out $4,000 and get a horse of this quality. He's a 5-year-old. It's a very lightly raced, but he's won 6 of his 9 starts. It's well documented that miss at Scone there where he ran 9th. He did a pretty bad hamstring injury, so he's been nursed back to health. He's won 2 on the bounce this time in, pretty dominantly. The replay we're watching there is Rosedale last start, and if anything, he was probably a little bit too well rated. I know that's a bit of a strange criticism on someone like Kerry McAvoy, but it was his first ride on the horse. Jason Collett gets back on, and this horse's asset is his cruising speed. So 53 kilos on his back. We know he can do it at both ends. He can burn the candle both ends and still rip home in a good sectional, and he's always been able to run time. So, yes, he's tackling listed company for the first time, but on times and margins, it says he'll measure right up here, and as the market does suggest, to $1.90. That's probably about his right price, despite going up in grade. The other interesting runner is Deploy. He's a very classy animal, 61 kilos though, so whether he can give a horse like Cradle Mountain 8 kilos, the up-and-comer, I doubt that, but he's certainly too honest to rule out. And his first up run was good enough, just blowing out the pipes off a bit of a break himself. Heavy track form, fine, so I imagine he's somewhere. So they'll probably fight it out. They'll be up on the speed, so it's going to make for an interesting clash, but you would expect Cradle Mountain, the 9, to get the money again.
Yeah, that will be a real test, won't it? 8 kilos between them, and if Glyn Schofield's able to eyeball Jason Collett and Cradle Mountain in the run, who will be the last horse standing? Or will it set up for something to come from off them? Here's Brad Gray's suggested bets for Randwick. Race number 8. Your best there is Organza.
Yeah, she's a mare in the Godolphin yard that's come back in really good order this time. I pegged her last time. It's probably a good midweek standard horse, but she's really jumped out of the ground this time. It was a strong winner last start, beating Reflectivity. And we saw Reflectivity come out and win last Saturday. So nothing wrong with that form. The only caveat I will put on this is we don't want it too wet. So if it does happen to bucket down there at Randwick later in the day, which probably should be okay. The forecast says 5 to 10 mils, so fingers crossed. But we don't want it too wet. Otherwise, I think she'll just posse up outside the leader and take beating again. So she's the best of the day, race 8, number 15.
Also, other bets there, Military Zone, Charlene, Cradle Mountain that we've discussed, and also Doubt Defying. Brad Gray from Racing New South Wales form analyst, thanks for your time, and also have a safe and happy Christmas, New Year period.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Very kind words, and same to you and to your viewers.
Thanks, mate. OK, the Punters Lounge Live continues. We hone back in on Invercargill next. Jason Teague is standing by to give us his best from the better races there.
'Cause I got that crown. Oh, you could try your best to step in my ring. Pause what we don't know. Take a little step into the unknown. Everybody's trying to tell me no, no, no. I wanna bless the rains and dance away like Toto wherever.
You're watching the Punters Lounge Live. Valachi Downs bringing the coverage here on TAB Trackside 1, and we're at Invercargill where the scene is set for a big day of racing. Jason Teague will be describing the action for us. You must be looking forward to what's set up there, Jason.
Yeah, hi Jason, a very good morning to you, and welcome along to Invercargill. It's Invercargill's biggest day of the year in terms of a galloping action down here. Huge Christmas at the races, set up tents literally everywhere, people rolling into the track already, so yeah, it's going to be a huge day. I think our fields have stacked up really well as well, with some good quality horses. Some of the best horses trained down this way are here, so I think our racing is going to be first class all day long. In terms of the weather, it's pretty overcast at the moment overhead. It's not supposed to rain, there's a bit of wind at the moment. Hopefully that wind doesn't drop. If it does, we might be in trouble, but here's hoping it stays away. The track's come up as a good 3. I think it's a genuine good 3 down the back from about the 1400 round to about the 600. It's where they've just redone the track in the last couple of years. Vera's given it up the home straight. I was out there with David Walsh, and his stick just goes in just a little way. So I think there is definitely give in the track. So it should suit all horses that do cope on dead and slow conditions as well. So no, we're all set up for the day, and I'm really looking forward to seeing horses like the Precious One here, Jason, who I've made my bet of the day, but $1.70 is getting on the short side.
OK, we'll start with the preview for race number 5, races 5, 6 and 7 on TPL Live this morning. And the market has the Precious One at $1.70, $4.50 residential, and Ride It Like You Stole It at $8. Stephen Hunt, is it all about the Precious One money-wise here?
There's two horses they like, Jace. Obviously the favourite, number 5, the Precious One. $1.75 when betting commenced on Thursday, now to $1.70. Multis in progress, a tick over 300. The next best is Residential in that second line of betting with 12 multis running through. So, look, she's going to start the shortest priced favourite up and down the card today at Ascot over the 9 races, the 4-year-old mare by Darcy Brummer. But they do like Residential at $4.50 off a peak of $5.20 earlier in the week, Jason. So, look, Residential, definite saver if you're looking at exotic bet types around the Precious One come race 5 today at Ascot.
Multis in progress, a huge tell there, 300 compared with 12 residential. The Precious One v Residential. How about how this race shapes up? Here is the Form Pro speed map with the Gordonian and Residential shape to go forward. How did you read this race, Jason Teague?
Well, it's interesting really, Jason. I kind of expected Ride It Like You Stole It to be pretty prominent today. Of course, the horse was ridden back at Cromwell and it proved to be to its detriment. Ended up hitting the line really strongly. Residential's gone well here on the course before. That's something we need to take out of this race. And that Residential, of course, a very good 3-year-old filly. She managed to win the Southland Guineas here. This is a bit of a horses for courses track, and I think if anything is going to trip up the Precious One today, it will be the fact that she runs on this circuit. You have to be getting going a long way from home. If you sit and wait too close to the turn, you're not going to be able to pick them up. But there's no doubt she's the quality horse in the race. Look, I'm not convinced that Residential is going anywhere near as good as she could have as a 3-year-old, say, but she does loom as one of the main dangers. We'll go back and have a look at the Precious One's last start. It was behind Kiwi Ida. She ran second this day. She fought on just so well once she got into the clear, and it was just a good mare that Kiwi Ida was able to run her down, and we've since seen Kiwi Ida come out and win again in phenomenal circumstances at Cromwell.
Downs, and it's Kiwi Ida, way too good. Kiwi Ida has beaten home the Precious One, and Ride It Like You Stole It. Dinko Reese.
I guess out of that, are we worried about the 1600 metres? I know Claire Anderton's not. We'll speak to her a little bit later on in the day, but yeah, that would be a question mark for me as well. A really hard mile. It depends who leads. I guess if the speed map is correct, then there might be a little bit of pace in the race, but don't be surprised if maybe Ride It Like You Stole It jumps and races on speed today, because that will be the best chance that it has. But very hard to tip against the Precious One, and hence I've made him my bet of the day. But I do have plenty of respect around Residential and also Ride It Like You Stole It, Jason.
The AWS Illegal Southland Crystals is the next on the program. It's over the 2150 metres. This is how the market shapes up. Who Dares wins, $3.60, $4.40 for Gallant Boy. Come Fly With Me, $6.50. And you've got D&G also at that price. Can you give us any leads here, Stephen?
There's a decent lead, Jace. It's around the favourite number 2, Who Dares wins. $4.80 opening line. Now that's a little bit misleading. The fact that Princess Brooke was a $6 chance during the week, but came out this morning a 13% deduction. Take note, punters. But post that scratching has been the best back runner in clear lead. Who Dares wins at a $3.60 price. Holds around about 70% of total turnover. Look, the race doesn't lack huge turnover thus far, but yeah, look, Who Dares wins. Looks to be sense of timing on the back of a nice second last start. That's your decent lead in race 6 today over the 2-1 journey.
Certainly trying to ascertain the form of Who Dares wins, because he's run very well in the past. Maybe went through a little bit of a flat period around October where expectation, or his performance maybe didn't reach expectation, because what he was doing sort of this time last year was very, very good. Who Dares wins. Come Fly With Me and Shantav are met to go forward here. Did note that they rode Who Dares wins positively, Jason Tees, last time when the horse lined up at Cromwell. What are you expecting?
Yeah, I'm expecting pretty much the same again. Obviously, Come Fly With Me will be the pace in the race. There's no way they're going to change her tactics. She runs very well in this track as well. She's going to be a mare that's awfully hard to run down here. They will ride Gallant Boy a lot more positive than last time. I talked to Brian Anderton yesterday, and Brian was very, very disappointed with the ride last time. They did want him to get back but not sit last, and his run was phenomenal up the home straight. We'll go back and have a look at the replay of that Queenstown Cup at Cromwell, and it does feature the 3 leading players here. Of course, Kaha Rao won it, but Who Dares wins was second. Third was Come Fly With Me, and Gallant Boy was seen to be making very, very good ground up into 6th position. We see Gallant Boy had to come wide. Tough to do on that day. And Come Fly With Me up against the rail, and the other horse, Who Dares wins, there in the grey colours, about 3 off the rail.
Goes to the lead on the inside. Come Fly With Me, but Kaha Rao wins the race again. Kaha Rao beat a photo. Who Dares wins and Come Fly With Me.
I do like Who Dares wins. Look, I think the run of the race that day was definitely Gallant Boy, and I think he's going to be a big chance in the race. I note there's been some moving on him from $4.80 into $4.40, and as much as I do like Who Dares wins, I think my bet in the race would be Gallant Boy each way. He runs well on this track. As I've said before, it's a horses for courses circuit here, and Who Dares wins hasn't been here before. If they do ride him up outside speed, I think it'll offset been on here on this track, but still very, very keen on Gallant Boy, Who Dares Wins, Come Fly With Me. Best of the others would be Noman Ludi, but I think we'll stay with the top of the page here, Jason, and the proven performers in the feature, the Southland Crystals today.
Yeah, it's a huge run there by Gallant Boy, just a very niggly barrier draw. So if it is ridden forward by Corey Campbell, it's just going to have to do a bit of work. Interesting race, that one. Race number 7, this is how things stack up for the Go Racing handicap, which sees Johnny Jones $3.70. This the open sprint. We've got Tommy Tucker resuming. Corey Campbell suggested that it's going to be 1 or 2 runs at least before you can climb into Tommy Tucker's record. Also suggests that Kingpin at 6 and Feeling the Love $7.50. Again, Stephen Hunt, money leads.
Johnny Jones best lead I can give in early trading, Jason. $3.70 off a peak of $4. A lot of that action has occurred this morning in the last hour or two around Johnny Jones. Tommy Tucker, interesting to hear the thoughts around Corey Campbell and this horse resuming. One of its 16 wins has been on the back of a 90-day spell. Hasn't raced since April, but has been a mover, $6 into $5.50. So a little bit misleading which way you want to go around Tommy Tucker. Do you go with the proven paper form or money speaking around Tommy Tucker? Kingpin has been friendless, $5 out to 6 in that third line of betting. And Nightcap, probably the second best back runner outside Johnny Jones. Nightcap, rock solid in that fourth line of betting at $7.
Okay, yeah, interesting money moves there for sure. Good to get those thoughts. How about the map? This is how Form Pro has shaped it up with Nightcap, Pasito and Accidental Offside. Gee, Nightcap had to work hard before getting into a little bit of trouble in the straight last start, Jason.
Yeah, she did. She has pulled up 100% from that, I hear. I'm going to talk to Robert Dennis a little bit later on to just get it straight from the horse's mouth. But she did falter. You could clearly see that on the video, but apparently she's A-OK, and she was eased out of the race, as we know. She will go close to leading here. I am a little bit shocked to see Tommy Tucker so short in the market. He's had 11 starts over the 1,200 metres and he's never won. A horse with a record like him, it is maybe a little surprising, but he is certainly better once the distances get longer. I'm loath to say he can't win, but I am very, very tempted to say that today. We'll take a look at Johnny Jones. He's on the quick backup. We saw horses yesterday at Wingatui racing very well after running at Riccarton last Friday. And look, it took a Group 1 Telegraph winner in Enzo's Lad to run Johnny Jones down this day. Here he is in front on the inside. We see Enzo's Lad jogging up to him once it got into the clear, but a very good performance by Johnny Jones, and Rahul Bihari's 3 kilo claim is going to be dynamite here.
Enzo's Lad nearer to the outside. They have it between them. Enzo's Lad is the leader over Johnny Jones, and Enzo's Lad is the winner over Johnny Jones. Fly time third, fourth in He Can Fly, then Fairlight, Zarista, Valley Bay.
Yeah, not bad, is it? Been beaten about 3/4 of a length by a Group 1 winner at your last start. So certainly Johnny Jones, a big must-have in this one. Kingpin, now, I could have shown you the accidental offside run from here at the last meeting, but I was quite taken by Kingpin's run. As you can see, he's got the baldy white face. He's locked away back on the rail. And there was a little bit of tightening in this race just before that. And you would have thought he'd get out here, but unfortunately, Kin Quo couldn't get him out, and he's gone to the line pretty much full of running.
Sits front, Nowhere Man. Peppy Ray on the inside, fights back. Maybe Nowhere Man over Peppy Ray, but there's only a nose between them again. Third Eye Shink Tat will do a big run. Feeling the loves in the photo.
Yeah, he's going to be right in this Kingpin. I think he's the value in the race, given how unlucky he was last time. I thought it was going to work out perfectly prior to that for the horse, but he just could not quite get out. I like the fact that Gosson Jagoos picked up the ride today, slightly more experienced rider, and I think Kingpin will get a lovely trip today. He's very good on this course, 6 starts for 5 placings. So in summary, I think Johnny Jones and Kingpin are the two. Will Accidental Offside strip as fresh as he did here last time out? The tactics will be the same, even with a change of rider and Lee Callaway picking up the ride. They will endeavour to ride him up the front yet again. And Nightcap, obviously, if she's 100%, should be thereabouts too. In terms of my suggested bets today, I'm an old school type of guy, so I'm going to keep it pretty simple. I'm going to chuck out a multi for you and start off, though, with a win bet in terms of the precious one. Just a $40 win bet. Obviously, I'm given $100 to spend, so it's big money for us country boys. Gallant Boy each way, 20 each way.
I think he's a great chance at $4 plus, and the multi works out to be just under $500. Moss Jazz to win at $3 in race number 2. I think he's a horse that just had too much early pressure last time. Today he should get his own rules in front. The Precious One, yes, to win at $1.70. Hopefully take the shorts, and Tahuti's wins. And Super Twister in race 8. This horse is at $2.90 a place. Won at the Invercargill Cup meeting earlier in the year. Again, has a good record on the course and in a very even race. I think Super Twister was overs in that particular race. So keeping it pretty simple, Jason. Obviously hoping that the Precious One can do the job, and that'll build the bank for when we hit Gallant Boy, and hopefully that multi works its way through the day. Looking forward to our 9-race card. We're underway at 17 minutes past 12 o'clock.
When you said old school, I thought we were going to see the all-up instead of the multi, but thanks for those thoughts there. Jason Tees at Invercargill, he'll be calling the action out of Ascot Park. From there, we take you north to Te Rapa and Hamilton, and this is the scene at our feature venue today. Group racing, Group 2, Kalaizuzu, and then we've also got the Sky City Hamilton Waikato Cup. Brendan Popwell, George Simon, Aidan Rodley on track, and BP, it's great to see the sun in Hamilton.
Yeah, very good morning to you, Jason. Yeah, certainly all in readiness for a terrific day of racing here out of Te Rapa. And look, I must say, arriving on course now, you've just got that buzz and feeling about it. Of course, it is a day that the locals love to come and support their Waikato Cup race meeting. And they've got the day. Thunderstorms last night. It was very thundery all night, and obviously some of that rain even hit around Alexandra Park. But that's just taken the fire out of the track, and we'll get the update very shortly around track conditions. But good betting races. Could be a day for those favoured runners. There's a number of races where you can sort of pick the bones out of it and suggest maybe going light through some races. Does that mean the pick 6 becomes an option, even though it's only worth $25,000? And there is that early quaddie, which will start on race number 2, Jason, which will be given a boost, as we've seen through the month of December, with $20,000 going into the bin starting on race 2. That might mean that quaddie could be worth playing into.
Yeah, certainly those bonus quaddies and the injections are building some very, very good pools. But you spoke about track conditions, Brendan. Those will be all important, how that Te Rapa track plays today.
Yes, it will be, Jason. And not too long ago, Aidan Rodley, he was out on the track with General Manager in Ken Rutherford.
Thanks, Brendan. Came out here with Chief Executive Ken Rutherford, and not just Chief Executive today, track manager, what? You're telling me plumber as well?
Yeah, plumber as well. There's a few toilets just down the road. They haven't been used for a while. Probably since this time last year, actually, Aidan. So I'm a plumber's son, though. I'm a plumber's son, so I pack away all my tool bag. No, but it's one of those days where it's all hands to the wheel, so to speak, and just try and get through it as best we can and put on a great show for anyone who's come along today.
Yeah, we come in, the car park's packed, we've got marquees everywhere. How many pre-sold tickets have you got for today?
Well, looks late 3,000s, 4,000 pre-sold. Obviously, expecting this great weather here to get a good walk-up crowd as well for the GA. The GA crowd are all down the home straight there by about the 300-metre mark. The youngsters, Aidan, you and I, the 18s to 25s, we're out the gates down the road. There's all sorts of bands playing down there, and they'll be going for a little while afterwards as well. It's next door to a retirement village now, mind you, so I apologise now if you're in the retirement village, but no, good day. We've had a really good reaction from the people of Waikato in terms of Cup Day.
Couldn't believe how well this track's come up, but a dead 5 after the torrential rain we had last night.
I wouldn't be surprised if it gets upgraded to a dead 4. I don't want to put words into the stipendiary stewards' mouths, but look, we were flummoxed by the forecast all week and didn't really know what to do in terms of irrigation because, as you'll be aware, being a Waikato lad, it was forecast thunder showers all week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right up till today. So we got nothing, not even a drop till Thursday, got a little drop. And then last night it absolutely hosed down from about 5 o'clock till about 6 o'clock. 11 mils all told the last 12 hours, which makes it a dead 5, but I think it'll be racing a bit better than that.
Okay, yeah, obviously the fields have come up maybe a little bit slot on numbers, but real quality and depth, and especially in those features.
Yeah, real good call. You've summed up spot on there, Aidan. Numbers-wise, you've got 9s and 10s in most of the races, the odd 11 and 12. The Cup field, it's hard to look at the handicappers going around over a mile and a half and pick another one that's not there, so you pretty much got the ones that are there. The sprint race, I think, is the best race in the card, the J-Swap Sprint. That looks a real good field, and obviously the Fillies and Mares race. Without Baker Forsman, we may not have much of a race, but certainly the quality is there.
Yeah, they had the trifecta last year. I think they're looking for their third or fourth win in the race. Got a tip for us? I think you got a bit of a tip sheet floating around on the track as well.
Yeah, I made those up. No, I do like Magnum. I do like Magnum in race 8. I looked at its trial. I think it trialled a Matter a couple of weeks ago. Jason Waddell takes the ride. Yep. Gee whiz, how good was he at trackside the other day at the twilight meeting at Auckland?
We've got to keep him riding, I've got to tell you.
Yeah, there won't be a job in here, Aidan. That's dead right, well spotted. But I do like Magnum. I thought 550 is probably quite good money.
This is the first time this race has run at Group 3, is that right?
I think it's the second time. I think it was upgraded 2 years back. I stand to be corrected. No, I'm pretty sure it is, because we had to ask our sponsors for a little bit more money because it got upgraded. So it's Group 3, and obviously with the railway handicap and in a couple of weeks' time, it's a nice lead up.
Okay, best of luck for a great day, and congrats on the way that this track's been turned out, Ken.
Thanks, Aidan.
Jack of all trades, one Ken Rutherford, and as we know, with him being a former Black Caps captain, he is a man for the job. Certainly to look after all angles covered here out of Te Rapa Racecourse this afternoon, Jason.
OK, we'll crack into the preview, race number 1. And this is how things stack up for the Dunstan Feeds Premier. 270 Fiscal Fantasy. Stephen Hunt, is it opened a little bit longer than this Fiscal Fantasy? Has there been a good stream of money for Aidan Rodley's best bet?
Yeah, absolutely the best lead in this particular race. A lot of these runners stepping up over a staying trip for the very first time. Physical Fantasy, they've wanted to collect out of this 4-year-old mare this campaign. Finally, she draws a gate to play with. Jason Waddell, she just profiles as a great betting option here. Physical Fantasy, $2.70 off a peak of $2.80. Elvin's Dream, Glendale, both $6 each of 2. There's some support there. A little bit of speaking for Franklin, as we always touch on the Baker Fulton runners. There tends to be a little bit of speaking for those runners, and nothing to speak of in these horses at double figure quotes. So clearly the best bet runner, number 5, Physical Fantasy, $2.70 to kick off the day.
This is how the Form Pro map shapes up. Fiscal Fantasy draw on the inside. Look, you'd hope it wouldn't get too far back from that draw. Atomic Blast and Mr. Linsky, the horses that they've got going forward, and that looks pretty much as you'd expect here, Brendan.
Yeah, look, sort of chatting to Jason Waddell on Thursday night, he felt as though that he was certainly not going to get too far back from the barrier draw. He was going to take a nice position up against the rail, and gee, to be honest with you, Aidan, I don't want any sighters here today. I'm pretty keen to get going from ball 1 here around Fiscal Fantasy. Let's go back and have a look at this horse's run when last time to the races. Look, the form is just so good around this horse. From the first up run when running second behind the Mitigator, the Rhinestone Cowboy effort, and then this effort when running third and behind Fancy Moore, who just got the saloon run up against the rail and wins. But Fiscal Fantasy was having to clear traffic, and then once clearing that traffic was able to do a nice job out wide to finish into 3rd position. She just looks suited now and ready. Fourth run in over 2,100 metres. Yeah, I was happy to go shopping and place this in the basket this morning around Fiscal Fantasy. What are the dangers? Well, look, potentially Glendalough is a horse. I know it's always shown potential. Glendalough is in single figures. If you wanted to give Franklin another chance, it was just probably too bad to be true last time to the races. Mr. Linsky can go forward in the race, has been running well over the 1,600 metre distances as well. But yeah, I was pretty keen to just kick things off here with Fiscal Fantasy, Jason.
OK, race number 2, and this is how the market shapes up for the second on the program. It's the Wentwood Grange Premier. Mr. President and maybe a show-off, $3.60. Look, these 2-year-old races I find very difficult, Stephen Hunt, so I need you to tell me where the cash is going.
Yeah, I find them difficult to frame up too, to be honest, Jace, during the week. But look, we've got the race day form, and maybe a show-off at the top line of betting at $3.60. Shares that price with Mr. President. The best lead I can give you is number 5, Your Deal, at $6 off a peak of $6.50. Tiakau Juveniles, they've already had 2 or 3 winners this season in our younger races, and Your Deal, who's been hitting the line strong in its trials to date. Opie Boston does the riding here. Again, just a nice betting profile for punters. So that there currently is our biggest liability. And a little bit of specking, funny enough, for Flaunting, the stablemate of the current favourite, in maybe a show-off. Flaunting, $11 currently, a losing liability.
So 6 runners are first starters, so there is no speed map for it. Brendan, what can you tell us about your thoughts?
Look, I think Mr. President from barrier number 1, that's the first key to the race, isn't it? With what we saw from the trials, where the horse was able to take a forward position and really kick on strongly, and how this horse won at the trials, Mr. President. So I'm happy to be going that way. You've got the maybe a show-off form where the horse went forward and won here 2 starts ago, and it's always hard to go past rock solid race day form, and this horse has had 3 starts to the races and is back on the home track. So there's a pretty big respect around that. But this is the Mr. President trial when doing the business here and doing it nicely as well. I love the way that when asked a question, the son of Sepoy, he was able to get the job done and wins by a margin of a head when there was that late challenger in this particular trial. Bijou Lass is the other runner that we want to show you. This is a runner that was in front and was just nabbed late in this particular trial on the 27th of November and was beaten by a margin of a neck. Does have to contend with the outside barrier draw, does this particular runner for Baker Forsman, but there's market support around it. Interested to hear around that your deal speaking from the Te Akau barn, because I've been taken by the trials as well. I love the way it closed off for the most recent trial out of Matamata. Very wary of this horse in this market, and with that little move around it, I've got it amongst my numbers as well. I went with the 3 on top to continue on a very good run of form for David Archer and his team at Archer Equine Investments. So mark the 3 on top in Mr. President.
Thanks, Brendan. But watching Champagne Dancer very closely, she hasn't done much right in only one race, and also her trial she's missed away and all of that sort of stuff, but she showed a good spurt of speed in the midsection last time. Anyway, race number 3, this is the Low Sholem and Jones Premier, where Popstar Princess is 450, Kalani and Chicane are 5, lines on these 750. Slight adjustment I've noted in this market here, Stephen. Popstar Princess obviously outright favourite now. Is Kalani shortened and Chicane drifted?
Yeah, they've identified one particular runner here, Jason Kalani. Roger James first up. V. Colgan does the riding. Look, he's a little bit unsound. He has to be, being a 6-year-old for only the 10 starts. Only been unplaced twice. So he is a horse that likes to run in the money. $7.50 during the week. He was short of $6 this morning. He's now a $5 second favourite and could close favourite. This is a decent go on a horse that's resuming off a long break. So when money talks around this stable, we've got to take note here in Petone around Kalani. Popstar Princess $4.50, big drop back in grade, pace influence, rock solid at $4.50. Chicane, big drifter here, $4.50 on opening, now $5 chance. And outside those, there's a little bit of specking around Emma Star at $8.50, could be the best of the Stephen Marsh team, but yeah, decent go here on Kalani, number 2.
Thought there might be a little bit of pace in this race. This is how the Form Pro map has things. With Merlini, Chicane, Akoya, Popstar Princess and Emma Star, I thought the primary speed coming from Merlini and Akoya, and just depends on whether the riders, Michael Coleman on Emma Star and also Lindsay Satherley on Popstar Princess, what they choose to do. How did you see things shaping up here, BP?
Yeah, I think there could be some early pyrotechnics in the race when you've got the likes of Akoya and also Merlini. But what we've seen from Popstar Princess, though, she is a horse who really does come rattling out of the barriers. And I'm with her. I'm a big fan of this horse, Popstar Princess, and she showed that she's not too far off some of our better sprinters with this effort in an open handicap sprint, which was won by Bostonian, who's got the eyes on the Group 1 sprints coming up. She leads them up here in this race, and she gives a pretty big sight. Now, finishing in a second position back in their field with Santa Monica, but I just love the way she's really willing here to fight on and finishes into 3rd position to get herself some black type. So she comes back from this to a rating 82, does Popstar Princess. Form around it is very good. Of course, you've got the runner up closer to the rail next to her there in Princess Kiridu, who won last week as well out of Alice. So the form is rock solid with that effort there from Popstar Princess. Here's Chicane. This horse won first up. I really see if there is tempo in the race, just to play right into this horse's hands, because she can take a spot just off the pressure, you would imagine, Chicane. She presented first time to the races out of Tauranga this campaign, and she was able to deliver and hold out the challenge from Bevan Street out wide. She's always been a horse that's been progressive, and now she's showing that, and she's looking to really try and work through the grades this campaign for Ross McCarroll and Chicane. And Kalani, look, I've got a big respect around Kalani. I love the way this horse worked home at the trials, Kalani. Of course, that was out of the Melody Bell trial. Eye-catching late in the piece, and I think with what the money is saying there, we have to be watching this horse very closely. As Stephen said, maybe potentially could be coming into favouritism with number 2 in Kalani, a horse who's always had a big rap on it. 10 starts for 4 wins as a 6-year-old. I'm going to go with Popstar Princess, though, here, Jason. I'm happy to be running with the form with what we've seen out of a stakes race last time to the races back to a rating 82.
Good stuff. Thanks, Brendan. Race number 4 and the market for the Lodge Real Estate Premier at 1600 metre race. A couple of horses have come out. Bellacourt Carchi, also Capricosa wasn't out yesterday. Was expected to come out though because she's lining up in the Kalazuzu. 360 for Yorkshire Dales, and my gift there at 460 Stacey Ann at $5. Didn't find this a straightforward race either, Stephen. Is the money with Yorkshire Dales?
It is, Jace, but a very competitive race. 8 horses going around. Capricosa Bellacourt coming out this morning. 22% deduction. Take note, punters. Remaining Yorkshire Dales a $3.60 favourite, and looks set to start favourite with the multis running through this individual. My gift at $4.60 in that second line of betting. Solid, but there is a chance it could drift from what I'm seeing. A lot of specking around Stacey Ann, $5 off a peak of $7. And final suggestion up from Whangarei coming down to Te Rapa. Hasn't raced since the back end of October. Keep an eye on this. Lee Thinnis back to a mile, $7 off a double figure price, $11 during the week.
Real trick to this race is the speed in it. It looks very hard to predict. This is how Form Pro have it, and they've got Magic of the Sun with final suggestion going forward, so they're a lot more clear-cut than I was in my head. Magic of the Sun I thought would probably be the natural leader, and then I wasn't so sure about the others. Final suggestion, Stacey Ann do show speed, so will Andrew Calder be positive from a wide draw? I think that would probably be beneficial for him. How did the form shake up for you here, Brendan?
Maybe Sassanov's Hero could play a part as well in going forward, Jason. We know when Taki Yanagita won on this horse 2 starts ago, that was the sort of position they found themselves sort of up on tempo as well, over 1600 metres. So that horse could play a part, getting down to 57 kilograms. Look, I really do like Yorkshire Dales though, Jason. I reckon this horse is making lovely progression so far. A former UK galloper, and this horse won nicely. Loves just that little fire out of the track, and of course with the rating here of a dead 5, it is a lovely warm day, and that's what happened last time to the race at Pukekohe Park. Presented on a slow 7 and was able to wear them down over 1400 metres as well. This particular distance goes to 1600 metres. A horse who's won at 1600 metres has also won over 1580 metres this campaign, and has won over 1700 metres out of the UK. So this is the distance range that the horse performs nicely at over the 1600 metres. Should just shut off them, and if he can have that chance to be presented, and I'd imagine he's going to have every opportunity to do so, I was happy to be on him. I was happy to play $3.60. I think he's a mighty bet. I think he's in the right vein of form as well.
I'd like to get that lead. Cheers for that, Brendan. Let's look at the market for the following race, which is the 5th of Pathways, the Immigration Specialist Premier. The Good Fight's at $4.50, Red Cayenne's at $5, Prince Jabeel at $7. Look, does the Good Fight, Stephen, does this horse always attract money?
It has its previous 2, and definitely today as well, Jace. Look, they came out of trees to punt at last start. The Good Fight at Avondale didn't quite get up in time to beat Jimmy Rocket. I think what the punters are banking on here is the 2,400 metres, even though it's stepping up in grade. $4.50 you see they're trading on option 205. We've just accepted a $2,000 bet around about 5 minutes ago at that $4.50 quote. During the week we accepted a $6,000 bet on the Good Fight at an opening line of $4.80. Pretty happy to keep it at $4.50 at this stage. The fact that it's stepping up in grade, we feel that's a decent challenge with a lot of these horses progressing as well over the 2,400 metres. A little bit of specking around Marcelina, which we touched on at the top of the show, with Andrew Forsman talking this individual up, $9.50, got as high as $11. But outside that, there's just been a nice spread of money around Red Cayenne, Princess Jabeel, Sarah Bande, but the decent go with those big 4-figure bets is on the favourite, the Good Fight.
It's good to get those thoughts from Andrew Forsman about Marcelina, for those that backed it last time with confidence, knowing that he expects her to bounce back today. Fictitious Beaujeu and Florence Ivy, the pace in the race. Again, this is a very hard race from a pace perspective. You wouldn't be surprised to see from an inside draw Marcelina to slide forward. Brendan, the Good Fight's out of Pravda, who gave one of the great statue impersonations, won Melbourne Cup Day all those years ago. What are you expecting from the horse today?
That's right. Yeah, whenever we see a horse do something similar, we say it's doing a Pravda, don't we? Yeah, look, this horse just looks primed and ready for 2,400 metres. Now, this was last time to the races when finishing into second position, and yes, this could be a little bit of a difficult watch for those that did climb into the shorts around this horse when beaten by Jimmy Rocket. But what you can take out of that disappointment and think about today is that the horse has run really right through the line on this occasion. to finish into second position. Another key little factor, there's form from yesterday. The horse who finished into third position is Express Call. Now, Express Call was really well found yesterday at Tauranga and was nicely ridden by Ryan Elliott to get the prize and hold on. So there's a bit of form out of that race from yesterday. I was happy to be with the horse as well at around $4.50. Other dangers in the race, I thought Fictitious maybe could be a little forgotten horse. Does bring strong CD form to the race, does run a number 8. But yeah, I'm with the Good Fight.
Yeah, I wondered about Fictitious getting that nice soft run and maybe an each-way bet, but the top pick there, the Good Fight for Brendan Popperwell. The Kalamazoo Group 2 for the fillies and mares, or mares as it is, in 2018 sees Lizzie Lamore, Love Affair, sharing favouritism. Many changes here, Stephen, from when we spoke about this an hour ago?
Overall, a very solid mark, and it's been that way since betting commenced Wednesday afternoon, Jace. Lizzie Lamore, Love Affair, they match dollar for dollar, $2.60. If there's a slight lead, and I mean slight, Lizzie Lamore holds around about 360 multis, v Love Affair 220, but that could change throughout the afternoon. Nicoletta rock solid at 650. A little bit of specking around Beldenor, I should mention, a losing result. Maybe punters suggesting a bit of an improver second up. But Lizzie Lamore, Love Affair dominate early proceedings here in the feature.
This is a map that you'd think is straightforward, with Nicoletta leading and Capricosa finding that trailing position. The sense from Andrew Forsman is that Lizzie Lamore could be ridden more handy and that Love Affair therefore could slot into the 1x1, and those other horses drawn wide, they're natural get-back horses. So, Brendan, the question is, who have you plumped for in the Group 2?
Yeah, look, I've thought about this race long and hard, Jason, about just how it can unfold. And look, in the end, I keep coming back to Lizzie Lamore. She's a horse that has won a Group 1, a Group 2 and a Group 3 at this venue. She won this race last year. She won the Waikato Cup 2 years ago, did Lizzie Lamore, and was down to really in the right spot 12 months ago. This is the race 12 months ago when Love Affair came into this as the favourite and was superb in what she did. I mean, from where she came from, to be able to peel off the sectional she did with what was happening up front, it was outside leader who won the race. She had inside horse and Stolen Darts, who then went on to win a Group 1 following. So I'm with Lizzie. I just feel as though she's the real rock solid sort of form lines around her. She loves winning here at this venue. Then you've got Nicoletta, as you said. Are we slightly forgetting about Nicoletta? Because if things do pan out nicely for her in front, she could be the horse that they're all still trying to chase down at the 250-metre mark and may not be getting past. But you've also, out of this race, if you're liking Nicoletta, you've got the Basu form, who's just jumped out of the clouds from nowhere in its last 2 starts, hasn't she? With where she was sort of 12 months ago, she was competing around on the West Coast circuit. She's come out and beaten a Group 1 winner in Volpe Veloce. There has got to be massive respect about how she's done this when winning Basu for now Nigel Tiley and Andrew Corder doing the riding. Look, I went with the one on top in Lizzie Lamore in front of Love Affair. I have big respect around how Nicoletta could play this race into her hands, and then that runner who flashed home there into winning that race, the Auckland Thoroughbred Breeders in Basu. I'm around 1, 2, 3 and 4 for the Kalamazoo Stakes.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. Basu running past Volpe Veloce, coming from behind her and beating her there at Pukekohe. Okay, the Group 3 Sky City Hamilton Waikato Cup is, I guess you'd say, the feature race on the day, even though it doesn't have as higher group status as the Kalamazoo, because it's the race that many patrons will have the most association with. Once or twice a year, racegoers, they're celebrating their Christmas parties and whatnot. Igrain's the 210 favourite, Mongolian Marshal $3.20. Again, Stephen Hunt, we've spoken about this market a little bit. Many changes?
Just money continues to flow for number 4, the 6-year-old mare, Igrain, $2.20 on opening. We accepted that $15,000 bet earlier this morning, Jace, which I mentioned at the top of the show. She's now a $2.10 chance in front of Mongolian Marshal at $3.20. If this money continues to flow for Igrain, Mongolian Marshal might even drift from a $3.20 quote just to try and balance this particular book. And there is a strong possibility Igrain could easily start in the red, maybe 190, 180 later on this afternoon, because there is no strong money for anything outside Igrain, including Mongolian Marshal.
Sounds like bookmakers are being rather stubborn there, Stephen, not wanting to move Mongolian Marshal. That seems like you're just going against the massive tide of money there.
Well, like Andrew mentioned, we're still not quite sure whether this horse will get 2,000 metres, and we just have to do a little bit of trust here in HQ. And a horse like 5 to Midnight at $7.50, he's got more chance of paying double figures from what I'm seeing, and the likes of Blue Breeze getting out to $10 with the flow of iGrain. So, yep, it's a race in two from what we're seeing or from what we've priced, but in terms of punters, they believe it's a race in one.
Okay, this is how the speed map looks, and his Cavalier looks like he'll go forward. 5 to Midnight and Mongolian Marshal are drawn to naturally take closer positions in the running. Maygrove hasn't shown a heck of a lot early, but we know that can wind into its race and could be a horse that sits forward. iGrain's shown enough tactical speed that Sam Collett might choose to push her forward as well. BP, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I agree with you around iGrain. I think that she does have the ability and the potential to push forward and take a very handy position in the race as well, despite her drawing 9 of 9. I mean, look how hard she's going to be to beat in this race. I think with Mongolian Marshal, he's ranged up here and he's had his shot, hasn't he? Now, you could put it down to the slow 7 racing surface for sure, but he has put his bib in front here at the top of the straight. And this is over 2,100 metres. Who was stronger on the line? Who was going through the line better out of the two runners? And of course, it is the winner of the race in iGrain. She looks beautifully suited to go into this distance of 2,400 metres. Yep, Blue Breeze was nice from back in the field. That was the best of the rest and behind. Been able to make ground like the horse did. I would have that little question mark having its best form right-handed. It's had 3 starts left-handed. Still doesn't mean I haven't got it in the numbers, but just that little query around Blue Breeze. But he has finished off really well to finish into 3rd position. Then you've got a margin back to the next to the rest, and that being Kyria Layson, who finished into 4th position. Yeah, gee, I wouldn't be surprised if she gets into the red, Jason. She's going to be running through most of my multis for the day. Happy to try and snaffle up 210 if she's going to start tumbling into 190 zone. I think she's the winner of the race, and she is highly, highly talented stayer.
Second Group 3 on the card is for the sprinters. It's over 1,400 metres, the J-Swap Contractors Sprint, and Stratocasters 330, Magnum 5, Sultan of Swing 650 with Donna and Billy. Money here, Steve?
There's 2 horses I've targeted here. The top 2 I'm betting, Stratocaster on the back of a very good win from back of the field at HQ a couple of weeks ago. $3.80 we posted on Wednesday afternoon. We've accepted a $10,000 bet earlier this morning, Jace, at a $3.60 line on Stratocaster. He's now trading at 3.3 and looks set to start favourite in front of Magnum, who's been very well supported first up. Good trial going to this, a horse that likes to put himself in the race. Jason Waddell does the riding. $5.50 you could have got during the week. He's now trading at $5. So they're the 2 they're really targeting over the 1,400 metres. Also a little bit of speccing for Hugo Foscolo. If he was ever going to win a race, the punters believe it's at Te Rapa, where he is unbeaten, 3 from 3, $12 trading off a peak of 14, currently a losing result.
Really? Hugo Foscolo? Okay, that's your money. Speed map, this is how it shapes up for the race. Hugo Foscolo is one of about 5 runners that can contest things early. You've got Watch the Space, Save the Date and Sultan of Swing. I suppose there are a couple of eggs that are hanging above me, Brendan, that will fall on me and crack in my face if Hugo Foscolo win, but not for me.
Well, free beer all around. Yeah, look, I'm very surprised around that. If that is the case with the money around Hugo Foscolo, he just hasn't turned up, has he? In this campaign at all, has Hugo Foscolo. As we all know, his past form is terrific. He's got great past form. Look, Stratocaster, look, he was breathtaking with what he showed at Ellerslie, wasn't he? He was able to get back and he showed that turn of foot that we know he has got. We've seen it since a 3-year-old with Stratocaster, with the way he picked them up and put them down. I do like Magnum. Look, I'm with Magnum in the race. As Stephen pointed out, a little shift from $5.50 to $5. This horse was beaten in behind Tiakau Shark when last presented to the races. He's a horse with his New Zealand form. He's been a listed winner on a dead 5 surface out of Awapuni. As we know, he's been a big performer out of Singapore. He's nearly put in the bank $500,000. So I do like Magnum today in front of the 8. So I went 3, Magnum in front of 8, 9 and 5.
Okay, race number 9, the last there at Te Rapa, closing out the late quaddie, is the Team Whelan's Premier, where Belfacino is 4 from Honesty at $4.50, Giant Gem at 5, and Hinchin Power there at $7. Now, quick thoughts on the last here, Steve?
Targeted one here in the middle market, Jason. Number 8, Baz de Soir. Look for a big improvement here. Second up for the Marsh team, Jason Waddell does the riding. I think this horse will relish the sting out of the track, the dead 5, if that can hold up at the back end of the program. $10 trading, quite a heavy liability on this individual with a $1,500 bet at 12s earlier this morning. Its peak price was $13. Belfacino at the top of the book, well supported here, $4, as is Honesty at $4.50. But nice little go here, number 8, Baz de Soir at a $10 price.
Quick look at the speed map before going to Brendan Popperwell and Showbird, the leader. Your picks for the 9th?
Yeah, tricky race this, eh? I think there's quite a few chances. Quaddies and pick 6. I think you're going to want to. I think you're going to need a few horses on your side. I was around 3, 5, 6, and 8 in the last race. Giant Gem very good last time. Belfacino was quite unlucky last time to the races. Can give Honesty a chance. Baz de Soir as well. So, yeah, a race I want a few on side heading into the last race. Strategy and best bet. I'm going to go with Yorkshire Dales as my best bet here this afternoon. Does line up in race number 4. The horse won over 1,400 metres last time, goes to 1,600 metres, has good record around that distance, close to that distance of win over 1,580 and also 1,700 metres. All right, Jason, look, I'm going to apply an approach of see ball, hit ball with my $100 spend, and going to spend it on a box multi for $100 through these horses. Race 1, Fiscal Fantasy. Race 2, Popstar Princess. Race 4, I think Yorkshire Dales is in, isn't it? Race 4, Yorkshire Dales. Race 5, The Good Fight. Race 7, iGrain. And race 8 in Magnum. That'll be a max return of $23,000. But of course, with it being a box multi, the chance of playing in any 3, any 4, any 5. It's a day where I want to swing for the fences here this afternoon on Waikato Cup Day.
Obviously preparing for Monday's onslaught, which is the Christmas shop for family and friends. Thank you, Brendan. He is hosting out of Te Rapa there with Aidan Rodley and George Simon in the commentary box. We take you now to Awapuni, where Bevan Sweeney has been patiently waiting for us. We've got Tony Lee in the commentary box there, and this is the scene at Palmerston North, preparing for another Christmas at the races. Race day and some quality racing. Of course, we look forward to the fillies lining up in the eulogy, and also in race number 3, Sweens, a very impressive Gift of Power, who really stamped herself last start.
Yes, she really was. A very good afternoon to you, Jason. Welcome into Awapuni. We're under beautiful and warm skies at the present moment. I have caught up with Kim Treweet. We'll play that before the first on the program. He sort of indicated, as we heard from Ken Rutherford in the north, that it's been a really tricky week of working out what to do with these track conditions, because there's been parts of Palmerston North that have got 45, 50 mils in a couple of hours and been flooded completely, whereas Awapuni just hasn't got it. It's been very isolated, so very, very tricky to work out what to do through the week. They did put water on early on in the week, a good dose there, and they've had a couple of sprinklings, but the track conditions, it's dead 5, should improve into that dead 4 condition. Yes, you mentioned Gift of Power. I think the key to her is that Lisa just let her roll. At Otiki. Chris has fought her on occasions, and that has played against her. I thought it was an immense performance at Otiki. There is that swing in the weights, isn't there, towards the bottom of the book. That's an interesting factor to sort of put into your thought process when analysing the race. But yeah, she's pretty smart, Gift of Power, no doubt about that. And eulogy, maybe we see a couple of the proven horses against one of the Baker and Forsman up-and-comers. That's an interesting race as well. Not big in numbers, Jason, but I think the 3-year-old quality is certainly there in that race.
Yeah, looking forward to it for sure, because as you mentioned, it touts a horse that was 4th at Group 1 level last start, Secret Allure, up against some up-and-coming fillies that haven't been tried yet but have a lot of potential about them. Race number 3, the Gift of Power race, is the Plumbing World Handicap. Gift of Power herself is $1.75 with Rockin' Affair at $2.90. Stephen Hunt, you mentioned earlier that Gift of Power is attracting good support and hence her shortening from an opening quote of 1.9.
Clearly best back runner on the program at Awapuni in the Central Districts, Jace. $1.75 trading, off a peak of $1.90. The other thing to take in here, punters, is the lack of money around Rockin' Affair. Bevan mentioned that it does meet Gift of Power slightly better off in the weights, I think 3.5 kilograms from when they last met, but It's no concern to punters around Gift of Power at $1.75 and could start even shorter at $1.70, maybe $1.65 from what I'm seeing. There's no money for Rock My Soul, Henny and Resurrect, the other three runners in this particular race. So multi-special Gift of Power with around about 600 odd multis running through here currently.
Does the Form Pro Speed Map have it handlebars down for Gift of Power as we saw last start? Yes. And as you mentioned, Sweens, probably the key to the race.
Yes, I thought early on in the week when prices came out this was going to be my $100 strategy, just put it on at $1.90 and take your 90% profit on your spend. But I just went through this race a couple more times and thought about that weight swing. I'm not quite so convinced myself personally. Yes, she's got really good quality about her, but Rockin' of Fear has been very good beating Gift of Power at Trentham, and then just a little bit unlucky in behind. It just got held up at a crucial moment when trying to get into it. As you'll see, Justin behind them had to go through runners. I thought that was a good fact. The horse took that gap and then came to the outside of the next runner in decision and got out and after it. Now there's that weight swing, and I think this horse can sit directly on the back of Gift of Power if they're really on their mojo. And we know Madan Singh's process of riding, and it's generally set them a lot early and put them in the race. So I thought it wasn't one I decided to really anchor because it looked the obvious best bet on the program, and then just eased in my thoughts. And it's an interesting day right across as we pick up Rock My Soul, Jace, because you do your markets, you look at your form and you do your form, and then you go and look at the prices that the bookmakers have put up, and either I'm wrong or they're wrong here this afternoon, we'll see. But there are some really interesting betting markets later on in the day where prices are a little bit longer than you would expect. But this horse has been very, very good. First time back at the races now with an injury-prone horse like him, second up with such a big fresh effort. Now this horse did do that at Otaki, fresh up last preparation, and then just found track conditions a little bit tough at Trentham on the good going. So I'm just worried about Rock My Soul second up after that long injury break going so big fresh. So it's a two-horse race, whichever the way you look at it, Jason. I ended up just going with Rockin' of Fear over the two, but I'd like to see Gift of Power win again. Rock My Soul's in the mix. Henny trialled up pretty nicely, Jason. She is the quality mare in the race with the black type on her pedigree page, so wouldn't be surprised to see her in the mix. But yeah, we might just see Gift of Power lead up and win. Just thought Rockin' of Fear with that weight swing might give it a shake in race number 3.
Sweens, you've seen the pigeons nesting in my punting backyard, and you've just thrown 3 or 4 cats there to scatter them going against Gift of Power. I thought she was a super bet on the program, but yeah, thanks very much for that. Race number 6, the Manawatu Cup Prelude. This is how things stack up for this 2,000 metre, well, prelude to the Manawatu Cup in a couple of weeks. Hinerangi is $5, Gorbachev $5.50. You've got Scandalo at 6 with Duplicity at 7. Peso, I understand, Stephen, has attracted good support.
That money came out around about an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, Jason, this morning. $9 off a peak, $11.50. So a couple punters there suggesting no dramas with the heavyweight of 60 on his back, Piso. They are speccing Hitarangi and Gorbachev, the two down there with 54 on their back. Hitarangi, best back runner, 6.20 into 5. And Gorbachev, who was well supported yesterday afternoon, 5.15, that second line of betting, off a peak of 6.5. So they're the two that clearly stand out in terms of punters. Like I mentioned, Piso well supported in that middle market. And Jack Star, he probably needs 1 or 2 more runs, but at the moment a losing result at 21s, I should mention to punters listening out there. But best back, Hitarangi in front of Gorbachev.
It's just a matter of waiting when to pull the trigger with Jack Star. He's slowly building and building and building into his preparation, and looks like Gary Vile very much has a plan. Hinerangi, Peso, Bellarmine, China Star look like the speed. Just depends on how China Star gets away, but from that draw you'd think that Madan would hunt her up, Bevan, to a forward spot.
Yeah, I think she gets the trail, Jason. I really do think she gets the trail. It's going to be my top selection in the race. I think this race just suits her right down to the ground with a couple of kilos off 55. I think she'll go very close to winning. I think she's great value and will be my best value bet on the program. Look, Hinerangi, I don't think they'll hassle her today. Look, she's up to that staying trip. Last start at Wanganui, they had to urge her to get forward, and look, she really kicked back the line. I don't think there's any doubt she'll get the staying trip, but they'll just leave her alone, I believe, in the hands of Lisa Press and try and find a spot forward of midfield, probably in the first 4. She'll stay all day. We know her quality, so she's in the mix. Oh, gee, I love Jack Star again here today. Here's Hinirangi, and she is in the Chris Grace colours with the pom-pom slimline down the outside. And I thought she was going to drop out of this race, but just watch her late in this race. She really digs her toes in again and finds, and she just got a little bit unbalanced. She's such a big mare that she needs to get rolling early, so they might make a midfield move here. Here's Scandalo. It's an interesting runner. It has been over a staying trip down south before coming out to Patrick Campbell's and didn't have a lot of success that day, so I like to see them just have one over ground before I get really interested in backing them. But this is a race against Beefeater and other quality horses, and his coat hadn't quite been there before the start. He looked much better this day. We know how tough he was the prior preparation he really put on this day, so look, I understand the price, but I just haven't gone with him here this afternoon. Just going to wait for one with him. But he's definitely got the ability. And yeah, the price on Peso, I just forgive that run at Counties on the slow 7. Prior to that, he was very, very good. And if you go back and watch the race against 5 to Midnight, he had no right to go down a lip to him that day. He was got 3 wide working for the entire 2,000 metres and just dug his toes in. So although he's got the 60 kilos, which is always difficult, when you're a good stayer against horses that are on the up, developing towards Wellington Cup, Auckland Cups, and horses that have been about for a while, I think you just stick with the ship, don't you, with Peso? He's got to be in the mix. Look, I'm going to go with China Star as value. I'm going to put Hinirangi in as well at reasonable sort of money. Really like what I saw from Jack Star the other day. He, to my eye, was hitting the line as well as anything and was just crying out for further. So I'm expecting a run for him today. Maybe not a winning run, but I think an each way quote and that place price is interesting for mine, and yes, Peso in the mix as well. There's other chances clearly, Jason, but I'm up in 6 to beat 11, 5 and 1.
Lord Master associated with the eulogy once more. The Group 3 for the fillies, the feature on the programme over the 15.50. And Secret Allure, Queen of Diamonds, same price with bookmakers, $2.80. Sentimental Miss, $4.80. And then you've got double figures for the other runners. And I suppose Rocket Fuel is the big lead bookmakers throwing it out at double figures, because last start was very well supported at Ellerslie and a stand by the looks of that. Is that fair to say here, Stephen, your price on Rocket Fuel?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one, Jace, because it is on the quick backup, and it did start one of the favourites in that particular race at HQ. $10.50 on opening during the week. It's now to $12, and that's just representing the lack of money for this individual. Blinkers go on, as does the other runner, the stablemate and ambitious showgirl at $18 from as short as 13 during the week. So both Richardson Parker runners have been notable drifters. Going back up at the top of the book, Secret Allure. Look, this individual opened $3.20 during the week, Jason, and got as short as $2.80. So a lot of the action was on the Lisa Ladder runner. The horse that's proven at Group 1 level, Secret Allure. Won't mind the dead 5 track conditions. The money has dried up just noticeably in the last 24 hours, and it's all flowing for number 4, Queen of Diamonds. If the punters are telling me a decent lead, this horse could start favourite for the Baker Forsman's team. It's now current equal favourite at $2.80. That includes a heavy bet of $5,000 earlier this morning at $3.20, but a decent move on Queen of Diamonds that can make that step up to Group 3 level. Sentimental Miss in that third line of betting, pretty solid at $4.80 off a short price of $4, but probably the story is the Queen of Diamonds being the decent move this morning, the last 24 hours, and could close fave in the Group 3 feature.
Yeah, it's a very significant lead, isn't it, that move for Queen of Diamonds. Also, the market seemingly dropping off Rocket Fuel very quickly. It was a very good run in the Soliloquy, and then last start in the Trevor Eagle Memorial failed. The blinkers go on. She looks the natural leader, so are they saying that she's not going to get the 15.50 because the 1500 last start was too far? Well, with the blinkers on and a soft lead, she'll get her chance. Outside of that, Swings, it's pretty messy. It's pretty messy and behind. It's going to take some jockeyship, and that draw, therefore, could be a massive plus for Queen of Diamonds.
Yeah, she's got the draw to win. We just have to, and you have to, and punters around the country have to make up your mind whether coming out of a maiden race against a horse that probably should have won, or not won, but run much closer in the Guineas, you want to snap up that price. Now, it's disappeared surely from the 3.4 already, so it is now getting short enough for mine. This horse was immense in the Guineas. It got well beat. Midi Sensation, well ridden by Michael Coleman, had the right spot. And if this horse had a little bit more luck in this race, I certainly think it runs in the money. I think it more than likely runs second in the race. She's got black type on her pedigree page, albeit again at Riccarton. So there is a question mark here at Awapuni. It's only had the one run. It was placed on that occasion in a rating 65. I mean, how do you line that form up against a maiden win at Te Rapa, albeit pretty sharp sort of maiden win, to be fair. I did see this horse at Waverley. It was well beaten by Queen of the Year, but that was over 1,200 metres. It's a horse that's clearly looking for further, possibly even the 1550, but it was sparkling, wasn't it? Got the right run in the race, but once it got through that gap into the right part of the track, it put them away by an absolute margin on this occasion. So it is a very, very good performance. Hard to know for me personally what's in behind it. I'm not sure there was a massive amount in behind it, but it was very, very dominant, and from that gate should get the right run to be right in the mix. Now, this is a horse I've really warmed to. I think Lisa's been very careful with this filly. She had a couple of runs at Waipukurau. The second one of those was eye-catching, blew them off the racetrack at Otaki. The money came this day. It was a leader bias race. She did have a position 3 back on the inside, but look, she just can't get clear there to really let down. I think if she gets to the centre of the track, she picks up those leading 2 riders and wins. So when I rated that performance, I rated it as a winning performance with horses dominating on speed under great rides from 2 senior hoops and Parks and Waddell, just dominating that race. Today, from the 4 draw, I think Chris Johnson gets this horse out into the open and makes it very, very hard to beat. I'm going to go with the group form, Jace. I'm going with Secret Allure to win. Sentimental Mister runs second. In for third, probably at my peril, Queen of Diamonds, who could come out and just be the real emerging star of the race. But it's in for third for me. And then I'm with you, Rocket Fuel. There's no reason why this horse can't lead up with a very soft lead. There's blinkers. Well, we'll see what happens there in the run, but it'll get every chance to run the 1550 today with the lack of speed inside, and it could lead up and kick from the corner and give them something to chase. So I'm at the 1, 3, 4 and 2, but I think those first 3 really do, in my mind, frank up very evenly in my personal market.
Yeah, reading dispatches, you go to the Cambridge website for track work. Queen of Diamonds has worked very well during the week, and that form boosted just a little bit with Yamuna winning yesterday at Tauranga. So it's a really good race. How about the overall program, Sweens? What did you spend your 100 on?
Well, I'm going a lot of value today, which is a little bit unusual for me, but I went through the fields and I love Real Beach. It was very, very good across the last couple of starts, and it probably should have won at Wanganui last time. Dylan Turner picks up the ride. If he positions this horse up from the draw, 4 to midfield, 1 off, I think it's very tough to beat. My other black booker for a long period of time off with her headers in that race. I was almost going to back both of them with 50 each way and leave it at that. But I went with Real Beach 50, and in the last, go back and watch the performance of He's a Freak. He's a nice horse, this. He really caught my eye last start as a horse that's really going to develop nicely. My value is China Star, and if there's one price on the day that I didn't really understand, it is Platinum Mamselle. Now, Platinum Mamselle goes around in race number 4. Bookies put it up at $31 and $7.50. It comes out of the Lincoln Falls race, which was pretty much a sit and sprint. This horse has been close up behind Bit Lippy as a 2-year-old, went around in black type races. I thought very good on the first day at Hawke's Bay when racing there. I didn't understand the 31 and 750, so I'll certainly have a little bit to place on that horse later on in the program. Jason?
Well, you wouldn't have understood it when they ticked it out to 35. I was watching the price last night, saw it at 31s, thought, that was good. Ticked it out to 35s. Anyway, now into 23. Bevan Sweeney, thank you. Looking forward to your coverage with Tony Lee throughout the program at Awapuni. Stephen Hunt, thank you as well for all your information that you provided to us on the Punters Lounge Live. Have an average day.
Cheers, Jace. Stop it.
Stephen Hunt there. Valachi Downs has brought you the Punters Lounge Live this morning, and here are the runners that feature from Valachi Downs today. Secret Allure in the Group 3, Bellacourt by Per Encanto, Ugo Foscolo by Zakinto, and a horse that's been very, very well backed. He always shows a lot of speed on the trial tracks. Ugo Foscolo, obviously he's performed very well at his best. Can he recapture some of his best form today at Te Rapa in the Group 3? So thank you to Valachi Downs, and thank you for watching the Punters Lounge Live. It's TAB Trackside 1 and all the live racing from Ascot Park, Awapuni and Te Rapa coming up now.